I'm so proud of your growth, honestly. Like, I really am.
Oh,
'Cause,
that
I've
means,
been watching you for a while, and just seeing your grind, your hustle, like, it doesn't go unnoticed, trust me.
oh my God, thank you so much. That means the world coming from you. I mean, when I found you as well, when I started getting all into you, I was so into the fact that you're from Brooklyn. All right, let's do this right. I want to get it all into the introduction.
Okay.
I mean, you go by so many hats from Zen Jen, I'm like, well, BK Jen,
Yeah.
Jennifer Lee, first of all, your government name, right? I mean, not so much, but to BK Jen, to Zen Jen, to Genius Jen, to girl, you are a true light, a true enlightenment from radio to going into your meditation sessions now. I mean, so inspiring. I'm just totally inspired by the way you speak and the way you're out there and the way you rep where you're from, and which we're going to get into right now. I'm absolutely moved with the fact that you're an immigrant and you come from a background of love and passion, and this is why you are who you are today, because your parents put so much into you. And that entire story, this is why I'm doing this series of interviews. When we wake up every day and we say, no, I'm motivated to do this regardless of who accepts it or who's going to accept me or who doesn't agree with it, there's a love. And I feel like if we built a community more on speaking about that love and pushing out that word and not thinking it's so cliche and not being afraid to say, yo, I love what you do, or, you know what I'm saying? Teach me that. I love that. Or just using that word more. My real name is Jacina Love. It's not like an Instagram name or a
Your
radio
last name's
person.
Love?
Yeah, my middle name is Love. So I feel like since young, I've always been so bubbly with it. And I was raised with a lot of love. Losing my mother at a young age, they raised me with a lot of love to fill that void. Going back to you, you're super inspiring. So let's start with growing up in Brooklyn. Tell me all about it, please.
So, how much time you have? I grew up on Church Avenue, around that area. We were literally like the only two families on that block that were Asian.
Wow.
Everyone else was Hispanic or Black. So we were like the only people. And, growing up in that environment, it really molds you and shapes you into who you are. Cause you're not raised in the typical neighborhood, suburbia, or even just like a really well-off neighborhood. I saw a lot of, poverty. I grew up poor. I saw things that I shouldn't have seen as a kid, obviously. We were always on the block, which we already know.
That's right.
Stoop, everyone's just doing
There
it.
was nowhere else to go. That's right, making it work.
And also because, I remember I'll share your story. So we was on food stamps, and my sister had like food stamps going to the store. She had to go get some food or whatever for the house. And like some people on the block tried to rob her. This is when we were younger. But like she held her own, and like, she showed that she was a tough cookie. Like, yo, you can't do this to me. And they eventually left her alone. But I say it to say that we had to prove ourselves a lot growing up in this type of environment. You really have to have tough skin. You have to show you're not afraid, and you have to, be able to stand up for yourself. So that really shaped me into becoming the person I am, because I had to do that. I was around that and I saw that. And also, being poor, living in an apartment built in a small ass apartment. I have two older sisters. We were like in one bedroom, and my parents had to transform the dining room into a bedroom.
That's right.
Themselves. So it was very like, roaches, like that Ghostface Killer song, plucking roaches at the cereal box. Like, straight up.
Straight up.
People
when you turned on the light at night and they would just scatter everybody. You had to give them a minute. Like, I'm gonna give you a minute. like, give me back my kitchen. We're gonna get back to it.
Shit is so nasty, but like I can remember it because like, but you get used to it, if you see
That's
that,
right.
you're like, all right, there's some roaches on the table, like we'll be all right, I gotta grab this, or like little mice conversing in the middle of your floor in the kitchen. It was just nasty. So yeah, I saw a lot of like poverty and all that. We didn't have much money. And then, my mother eventually wanted to move us out of that neighborhood because we all were turning pretty bad. Like my sister was turning bad. My other older sister was really getting bad. So she was like, Jen's on her way. We gotta move out of there. So she literally moved us from Church Ave, Brooklyn, to like Bensonhurst, which is
okay.
a complete 360. Like I went from hearing sirens every night, police sirens every night, to like crickets. I really felt completely displaced. But, it was still better. Who knows what would have happened to me if I was still in that hood, if I was still doing what I was doing. I don't know. I really don't know. But long story short, so I just started moving around Brooklyn. I'm mainly in South Brooklyn now, for the most part. But ever since then, I think I always go back to Church Ave because that place really molded me. It really made me who I am. Like I was there till I was 14 years old, which doesn't seem long to people, but that's a very stressful time.
Yep, that's prime time. That's right.
For like teenagers, it really sets your tone for the rest of your life. So yeah, it was a rough upbringing. Like I said, roaches in the kitchen, banging on the pipes, no hot water, having to boil hot water in a pot. Water in a pot, get the hot water and shit. So it was rough, but again, it made me who I am.
We always have floods in my apartment because my father, there was always like a problem with the building, and the water would be shut off. So they would put the letters up, but he would wake up in the morning and forget. So he would turn on the faucet, not find the water, do what he had to do. We would run out. He was dropping me off at school. He was getting to his business. And when we would get back, the whole building was flooded, girl. Literally, like the lobby of the elevators would be broke down because of my father.
Oh my, that's crazy. You feel my pain.
Oh my God.
But that's everything can, really mold you and really put a different perspective in life. Some people grow up, in a really okay neighborhood, a okay family, not a broken family. Everyone's set off. People just have different routes in life. So I don't regret anything I went through. I don't resent anything. I take it in and just make it who I am, because it is who I am. That's like the growing up Jen in a nutshell. A lot of chilling. Brooklyn stuff.
Yes, totally.
Trouble and all that. Yeah.
And going back to it molding us, and I mean, think about it. At 7, 8 years old, you're coming and going into this neighborhood all the time, right? So you clearly see what it's going to take to be accepted in a neighborhood, to survive in that neighborhood, to, you know what I'm saying? So now when we're 13, 14, walking ourselves home, so it's all of that molds you. Like you said, it makes you truly who you are. It builds our skin,
Yep, definitely thickens it. Like you said, you hit the nail right on the head. Survival. It really teaches us about survival mode, your instinct. They call it the street knowledge, like street instinct and stuff. Yep. Like book smart, but street smart. Like that.
That's right.
Street smart for sure. But in between that time, even in Brooklyn, like I was just always creating shit. Like that was my outlet. If I wasn't outside chilling with my friends on the block, then I'd be at home just working on stuff. Even as a child, like I wrote a lot when I was a kid, a lot. With my radio stuff, I used to. You remember them old IBM computers, them old school computers?
Yes.
Girl, with the plastic mic. So I used to hit. This might be too OG for people, but like the cassette tapes.
Yes, girl. I used to create all before the Hot 97 and the mixtapes. I was creating my own.
Girl, so
stop and play, record and play on my radio.
But if you didn't have a blank cassette tape, what you'd have to do is the trick. You would have to. I put plastic tape, Scotch tape over the edges because there's holes.
Yes.
And that's how I could dub over that tape. I don't know if a lot of people know that.
No, absolutely not. Genius, Jen.
So FYI, back then, if you couldn't afford the blank cassette tapes to record shows over, that's how I do it. I would buy old tapes and old music that would be on the cassettes. I just dub over them.
That's so fire.
I would literally like be playing music off my IBM computer, the big ass box computer,
Yo.
and like hit record on the boombox,
Oh
and then like yeah, and then I would hit play on the boombox with the music played, and I record myself into the computer. You know what I'm saying? To pretend I have like a radio show.
No, you really like started internet radio then. Like, come on, like you you were doing it before they thought of it.
I was like 11, I think, 11, 10. I don't remember, but I was just like, fuck it. I forget what songs I was playing, but yeah, those are the old days. So yeah, I was always creating and writing and shit. And yeah, I mean, I've always been a creator. That was my outlet. I was always doing something to have an outlet.
That was my next question. It was, where'd you get into hip hop, or was it just the genre of just music in general, the different genres of music? Talk to me about that. Where did that start?
Well, I mean, music has always been like in my family. So my dad knows how to play the guitar, the acoustic guitar.
I love the guitar.
Oh, and it just sounds so rich.
Oh my God. And it has so much culture in it. Am I bugging? Like, I hear it and I feel like.
So because it's like, I don't know, I'm not a musician, but I'm sure it feels, it's just like your own piece of property, whatever that is to you. So my father came over here from Vietnam. He brought us his guitar. That's just was his baby, I guess, since he was young. I never really asked him, but I'm assuming. So like my entire life, he's always been strumming on his guitar, playing music and singing. And, you know, I'm Asian, so there's a lot of karaoke in the crib. So whenever he'd sing, he has a voice too. He can sing. He has a really nice
cool.
voice. I'd be next to him and like singing with him and stuff. So music has always been with me like my entire life. All types of music. So they used to cop like, well, they came over here in 1980. So it was during the boom of like Michael Jackson, Motown, and all them 80s joints. So like the records, the actual vinyl records.
That's right.
Like Motown. My mom and dad bought like tons of Michael Jackson, Tina Turner. I remember just a bunch of different types of music. So I've always been musically inclined. And I found out that like a lot of people on my dad's side are also musically inclined, like they're singers. So there's this thing called Paris by Night. It's like a series of, it's a music series, like huge concerts and shit. But Vietnam, for Vietnamese people. And like a lot of my family, like, you know, attempted to be on that show. So like,
That's
I didn't know.
Super interesting.
Yeah, like I'm talking about it now. I haven't spoken about this in a long time, but thinking about it loud, I'm like, you know what? It's always been in my blood to just be within music to some degree.
For real, that sounds like an American Idol of some sort, right? Of like, that's so cool.
Sure. So like, yeah, music has always been in me, and I've just always been around it and enjoyed it. And I've always written. I've also like wrote songs and stuff. I wrote my first song when I was like 9 with my sister, and it was called Street Danger.
Oh my God. That was your sister. She was like, if they ever try to take my coupons again,
it's gonna be a problem.
It's gonna go down.
Oh my God. Yeah, I mean, like, yeah, music's always been in my life. And, you know, I sang a little bit. People don't know this, but I tried to be a singer at one point. Yeah, but you know what? Well, I guess we get into this later, but like, it sucks when you don't have the support system. Like, it's very important.
Yes.
To come to a dream. So that fell off, but I'm cool with that. It probably wasn't destined to be. But hip hop came into my life, like, through my sister, my older sister. She's 4 years older than me. So she would always bring all the CDs and the tapes home. You know, you want to be like, yo, sister.
Of course.
What I'm listening to and stuff. And it was just like, I fell in love with it. It was just what the neighborhood was listening to, what I grew up listening to. That's what we was all playing outside on our boombox. God.
It was like a true lifestyle, you know?
It really is. And, you know, I didn't come into hip hop just as a guest. You know, I grew up with it. You know, I saw it. I experienced it. And so I love hip hop music so much because with the, I don't know now, but with the true lyricists, when they share their stories of struggle and obstacles and getting through all that, I know that because I've been there. So I feel it and it resonates with me more. So hip hop music for that reason alone, like, that's why I love it.
It's like that. It's like taking it back to, the Mary J. Blige, and we're going through the heartbreaks, right? Because people always can relate to it, but the rap is the same thing when when Biggie's talking about, not having to eat cereal or Christmases, you know what I'm saying? Like, we know what that was. We know what it feels like, So it's not wanting to repeat that cycle, making sure I get a degree because I need that backbone just to keep me going, but to still be creative and to still, dip and dab in both, but to still make it. I mean, it's, thank God that molded me, because it's similar what I'm going through now, and still trying to make it and still trying to break through those walls and still trying to, because it's not, I'm not rich. You know what I'm saying? I'm not chilling with the roaches neither, but
Thank God. I don't want to deal with that again.
let me shut up, because all of a sudden, Brooklyn, one will come out like, what you said?
Yeah, it's so funny. We are talking about roaches right now.
Yo, so hilarious. Okay, let's get back into Jen.
Back. That's all I was thinking about. Nasty.
Oh my God. You know what? Since we're in the topic, I was gonna ask you, what's your favorite part about what do you love about being from Brooklyn?
Oh, girl, where can I start? Let me tell you, like, it's just Brooklyn's like its own country, honestly. I know everyone says about their neighborhood where they grew up, but like it's just a culture, it's a vibe,
Yes.
it's a language, it's a swag. Like you can tell when someone's from BK. I would say our personalities are more chill, laid back, and cool. I mean, sure, there's some wild people, but for the most part.
No, we all get wild, but we all have that vibe to us. You know what I'm saying? Exactly what you're saying.
Everybody wants to be around, I love that. And it's also like, it's a big melting pot. All over New York like that. But you have people from all different walks of life, all different cultures, just coming together and being cool, and it's love, and it's not flamboyant. I know I've been to all over Brooklyn, and I can tell you that's one thing about BK. Like, everyone is not extra. Everyone's just not in your face all the time. It's very, like I said, just cool. We're chill. We're laid back. We hustle. We grind. We make it happen. But we're not in our heads.
And it's so classic, because I feel like the hustle has been for so many years. There's not brownstones here because, Brooklyn is something new. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's a history here. I was going to say, for me, it's the same thing. The accent is one, you said it, the language. But there's a feeling to me when they say where you're from and I say Brooklyn, I swear, Jen, I feel like there's a whole crowd behind me. Like, yeah. Every time I say it, I feel like the world is behind me. I feel like even if I don't know you, if I say we're from Brooklyn, we're looking at each other wherever we are in the world, and we're like, yeah, from Brooklyn, I love it. I love it.
To any other borough, but like when you
not at all.
Brooklyn, you're like, got you.
I feel, honestly, when you say no shade to any other borough, I feel like I'm accepted in every other borough because of what Brooklyn has raised me to be. I don't know. I feel like there's a connection that when I go to the Bronx, they love me there too. When I go to Queens, they loving me there too. I feel like it's something where they respect. Like, there we go again at the crowd behind us. Yeah.
You said it right. I think it's like a respect factor, Like, okay, you could say like, shorty, okay, she's from Queens. You're like, okay, she's cool. Like, she's like, just happy-go-lucky, vibey, Then you say like Staten Island, I don't really know too many Staten Island chicks, but they're just, I guess, in their own world. Then you say Manhattan, you already know what you're getting from there. You say the Bronx, girls is always gonna be like That's Brooklyn, girls is just like, what's up? Like, what's good? Like,
it's like, you're
we're like the boys.
Seriously, the coolest tomboys ever, I swear.
That's what I love about it. It's just so dope. It's its own place. Its own mecca.
Truly. Oh my God. Okay, so back to Jen. So, I mean, you've won film festivals. Again, there's so many different hats. Talk to me about that. I feel there's a reason you do the Zen Gen. There was a reason for the BK Gen. There's a reason for the Gen that writes and does documentaries and things like that. Because I know you're into all of that. So tell me a little bit about all of that.
So, first thing I want to say to people is, that phrase people say, jack of all trades, master of none. I think that's bullshit, because there are people out there who can actually be really good at different things. It's just a matter of how do you target it and really focus on it completely. It's one thing to be scatterbrained and work on 1,000 things. It's another thing to be focused on each thing and actually execute. So don't let that phrase ever like deter you from trying to different things. Don't do that, because you're doing a disservice to yourself if you keep yourself in a box, because all of us have so many talents, so much to give, that it would be sad if we didn't share that with the world. So don't ever let that phrase, I hate that phrase so much, like don't let that like mess you up. With me, I just always been that type of person. I just enjoy doing all this. A lot of people pop on different things for clout, try to make it in that arena. Okay, I'm not making it here. Let me try here and try to make it. Like, that's not me. I do all this because I genuinely love everything that I do. And that's different. It makes you more passionate about the stuff you're doing. Therefore, you would put more effort into it and making it happen. Right. So even going from like radio, I started out in radio. I mean, that was already in the cards. You heard my IBM story with the boombox. So like, that's what it was. But like, I always felt that there was just so much more that I can do. And for a while, like in my 20s, it was 20s is about just figuring yourself out, figuring out what is it that you want to do with your life. Your 30s is to actually put it into motion.
And live it out.
Yeah. So in my 20s, it was like, do I want to be in radio? Do I want to do this? Do I want to do that? So it was a lot of like soul searching. And it wasn't, speaking of the Zen Gen, that totally changed my life, because I was so disconnected from who I am as a person. I was so caught up on what everyone else was doing, trying to be like everybody else, and like just not in a good space, that I forgot to love myself. That's what meditation, I preach that so much, because it teaches you self-love. You can't give out love. You can't put out your ideas. You can't do any of that, attract anything, unless you love yourself first. You got to put yourself first. Not to say you can't put your kids, your husband, your mom, your dad. Honestly, yourself first, because that's where everything comes from, that you're able to give. So for me, it was like I had really minimal self-love, and it was sad. Now that I think about it, I was in a very dark place. Like, it was just bad. And then I found my spirituality. I started opening myself up to that, and it changed my life. It changed my life completely, how I view things, how I react to things. All my fears are gone, being worried, all those bad low vibrations. It's called low vibrations. I'm sure you've heard that term before. Mm-hmm. All of that really just, if it lacks for a better word, it fucks you up. It fucks up your energy. It fucks up you attracting what you're supposed to, because if you're always at this low vibe, that's all that's going to hover on top of you. I don't know if I'm making any sense. I'm getting
total sense.
Okay.
Total sense.
The Zen thing now. Yeah, so like, it's like attracting, whatever you put out. I put this on my IG before. It's like a radio station, right? You got mad stations you can go to. You keep on tuning into that negative station, you're going to keep on hearing negative music, negative stuff. You're always going to attract negative stuff. So for me, it was like really learning how to think positively in my life, letting go. A lot of people aren't able to let go and let go of the control. They always want to be like, dang, when's my next gig? Damn, what's going to happen in 5 years? Damn, when am I going to this? When is this going to happen? When's that going to happen? Like, once you let all that go and just let it flow and let whatever happens, because God got you.
That's right.
Period. The universe got you. God will not give you the vision and not give you the route, right? So it's a matter of you trying to navigate that route, and it's not forcing things when things aren't supposed to be, not supposed to happen. That's a big sign too. And I'm going on a tangent. Sorry if I'm rolling right now.
No, I love it. I love it.
But like, my hair is all sticky. Sorry. So, you know, a lot of closed doors, for instance, like, you know, people can be it's okay to feel upset about it. It's okay to be sad about closed doors, but understand that whatever that was not meant for you.
That's right.
It would not have put you where you wanted to be. It would not have given you what you needed, and it would not have turned out what you thought it would have turned out to be. So closed doors are blessings to me. But yeah, you know, all of that, this is all I learned as I started being really spiritual and meditating. Not only meditating, but started like exercising. Exercising is big. Like, you heard that term, mind, body, and soul?
That's right.
Your mind, body, and soul. Once all that is connected, once all that is in line, that's when your blessings will truly come in. That's what I learned through all this. I always had one or the other, 2 out of the 3, but now I have all 3 set. My mind is good. I'm working out. My body is right, and my spirit, my soul is on point. So now you see it too, like all these blessings are starting to come in, and I feel good, and I feel alive. Like, it's so important for you to take care of yourself first. I can't express that. Like, y'all, you really have to. That's the only way you're going to attract what you want. Your blessing's gonna come to you. So that's why I preach Zen Gen so much. It didn't come out of nowhere. I wasn't like, yo, let me just be like this guru chick, like, woman, and just share my shit. Like, nah, like, this is all stuff that I experienced that I want to share with people out there, because I've been through the struggle. I get it. You know, coming into the business, I didn't have no hookups. I didn't know nobody. I literally started out as an intern. Like, that's how I grew into my position at Hot, literally grinding and hustling. So this is all self-made right here, what I'm doing. So to share that, I know people who go through that struggle too. Like, I know I've been in those shoes, and I'm telling you, like, this is the answer. Y'all don't got to go freaking look for the answers anywhere. It sounds so cliche, but it's really within.
Exactly.
It's you. You have to fix yourself first before you ask for everything else. Ask for everything that you want in your life. If this ain't right inside here, mind, body, and soul, like, there's no way it's coming, because God knows, because you're not ready. God knows you're not ready. Once all this is good, he's like, go time. Because, and you can keep forcing yourself to do things, and that's cool. Like, it's all about growth, but it's never honestly going to be at the magnitude you want it if you're not good inside, if you're not aligned here. So, I mean, it's up to you. I tell people all the time, like, some people think it's bullshit spirituality. Some people don't believe in that shit. I get it. But if you see every successful person in this world, whenever they're accepting an award, whenever they're like writing down their thank yous, or whenever they're making their speeches, whatever, they always thank God or the universe or to something like that. And there's a reason, because I'm telling you, it works. I was that chick. I was that woman too. I didn't believe in any of this. I was kind of like, you know, spiritual, but not really. But when I really delved deep into it, game changer. So that's all the Zen Gen that, like, I share, because I want other people to also start realizing and tapping into their spirituality, because that's the only way you're gonna be happy, to be honest. So that's Zen Gen. With radio, it just happened. So before I went to Hot, I had an internship at Bad Boy, so that ended, and then Hot called me. And, you know, I started out as an intern for like Flex, which was like, that really molded me. That taught me, you know, like, I went under Flex, and I worked with Tat, and I'll never forget it. The first day of my internship, they threw me right to the trenches. Because I think before that, he never had an intern. So I was literally like his first intern. So I remember Tat, shouts out to Tat and Flex, like, they know what's up already. But like, Tat came in and was like, all right, so now this is how you set up Flex's DJ set. You got to put this, put that, put this. Okay, then you got to go get this paper and print that, this. All right, now hop on the calls, get me some calls. Like, this is my first day. But I know him, because I know Tat now. Like, you want to see what you were made of.
Yeah.
All right, I got to do what I got to do. Like, I got to show him what I could do. And I never put a DJ set together before, and you put on a DJ set together for Funk Flex.
Like,
Yeah, during the show.
Uh-oh.
Gotta make sure the needles are playing right. So I was hella nervous, but I did it. So I did what I had to do. Got the calls, and then back in the day, though, let me tell you, them interns now, no shade, you guys, but you guys have it really good. Like, back in the day, Yo, I had to not only get the calls and set it up, I had to go park Flex's car. He has some dope ass whips, by the way. Park the car, come back, grab the calls, then run out and get the food for them, all that. But
All that.
all that. That's true grind hustling.
It was really like get the water, get the coffee, yes, that's real. That's not just a term, which it seems to be just a term now, like just an idea, like, oh, interning.
Yep, totally not. It is a real thing. And a lot of people would have folded. A lot of people, I feel, would have been like, ego from your pride would have gotten over you. Like, well, I gotta get you coffee. Like, what does this got to do? Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm a coffee boy or whatever. But I didn't. I took it as if, I want to show them how hungry I am. I want them to see how, how dedicated I am to this job. How I'm willing to go the extra mile, that I can do this, that I get it. I have to pay my dues to get to where I need to get to. You're not just going to give it to me. So I did all that. Intern for Flex. Then I moved over to Cypher and Rosenberg. My guys, love them in pieces. Like, my brother.
Love them both too, man. They've done so much for radio.
They still do. Like, it's
seriously
legends. Like, that's the blessing I've gotten from working at Hot. I've been around like so many legends that you hear on the radio and just know about, and it's just a true blessing. But with Cypher and Rosenberg, they put me on to their show when they just started getting their morning show. I don't know if you remember that, when they just
yes, I definitely do.
They took me in, and this is where I literally started learning my skill set. With Flex and Hat, I learned how to move. With Rosenberg and Scythe, it was my skill set. So back in the day, like, there was barely any websites. There were barely any audio programs now, like SoundCloud platforms and things like that. So back in the day, like, I literally had to learn how to edit their show and upload it to the site and like work on their social media. I've been working with them since Twitter began, Instagram began. I remember the genesis of these programs. It's crazy.
Yes, it's so wild to me too.
Yeah, right? Like, I'm just like, I was there when they just put out the first tweet. Like,
for real.
First came out, to be honest. I'm on it like crazy now, but I was just like, why are you just tweeting? What's the point? Like, you put out a message and then what happened?
I know. And then I couldn't even write fully. Like, I gotta figure out how I'm gonna write everything in 20 characters. Like, this is annoying.
This is not gonna go far. Look at it now. But yeah, so like, that's when I learned my skill set. So shouts out to Ebro as well. He gave me a big opportunity. He's always believed in me. Whenever because they had to get the okay from Ebro, obviously. But when K Fox would be out, they'd have me jump in and cover like, the morning report and all that. And, it was just a time for me to like, I learned a lot. I learned from the producers. Yeah. Shout out to Rico, who was the producer at the time, genius too. I learned from him. It was very hard on me, but it made me have thick skin. But my brother Shawnee's culture too. So like, all of us, we was just going with it, and we were all a piece of the show. And I learned a lot of my skill set from there. How to talk on radio again, how to produce, how to edit, how to pull clips for a show. Because it's also about that too. You have to know what sounds good. It's not literally like the technical part, like just overall what sounds good for a show. So that's where I learned all that radio. And then eventually they signed me on to become, this is my digital manager hat. I feel like I just have so many jobs.
Yes, say them all. That's why I had to get into this, because, I mean, you promote them all very well too. But this is the point of it. This is what I look for every day when I'm like, what's Jen doing today?
I'll tell you, Jacina, it's because I got mad love for you. I don't normally do this. I hate talking about myself. I don't know why.
Really?
I hate it. But you know what?
Oh my God. Well, I'm so happy to hear this story, girl. And I hope everybody comes to me to hear it, because this is one that they got to hear. This is one that motivates, inspires. You see the light going from the spirituality, going from, not being, again, going back to those cliche things. You're not afraid of that. And this is what we need. We need this in the culture right now, and what we're doing, in society. We say the culture, but the culture, it's a society for us. We're raised off of this, and people need to, maybe if they see it more, maybe if the new generation can see this, understand it, they can take more to it. Maybe their lyrics will become a little more lyrically inclined if they
Please. babies.
So go ahead, keep going.
So what was that too? So the radio, yes. So
Yes,
that
you were finishing up with the radio stuff.
so then I got into so then, but during that time, I'm not gonna front, like I was broke, dead broke. I was just like lots of nights crying, lots of nights like what's gonna happen, just like where's my career going? Is this helping my career? Like what am I doing? It was just a lot of dark nights during that time too. As it should. You're in the game, you're new,
Right.
you're kind of trying to figure shit out, you've seen other people progress, you kind of feel like you're not progressing. So, that's what happens when you're that age. So then eventually, Hot 97 started a digital department. This is when blogging just began. Like ain't nobody had websites yet. So they started a digital department, and then they asked me to become like a writer for a blog, like entertainment stuff. So it was me, Tat, Wizza, and my sister Laura Styles. We was all digital content people. I was for Siphon Rosenberg, Tat was for Flex, and Laura was for Angie when Angie was at Hot. So we all had jobs doing that first, and it turned out that like I ended up being really good at it. Like we were starting pulling in crazy numbers. Like people were gravitating towards their page, Siphon Rosenberg's page of the site. So then eventually they promoted me to like the digital manager. So what that meant was I was in charge of the entire social media and in charge of the website, putting content on the website. But at that point, it was just me, Laura, and Tat writing. So it's just three of us. And social media, they literally had very little followers at that time, Hot. So it was my job to kind of reinvent them on social media and grow the following. And this is one of my I'm very proud of this because I say this because I feel like it's true. I feel like Hot's audience on social media is mine because I built that. Like that was me. Like if y'all was following Hot 97 back then, even up until maybe like 2-3 years ago, that's when I stopped putting my hands into it. That was all me. And at that time, there was no analytics. There was none of that reporting because it's just like a new platform. So I organically grew that by just putting out what I thought was dope, and it was working. And then eventually, we made history. Like on Facebook, Hot became the #1 radio station in the entire world with the most followers. Like we hit a mill. Then eventually on Twitter, we hit a mill. Yeah, and like Instagram, we hit a mill eventually, but it was growing too. But I did all that, and I'm very proud of myself because I didn't know what I was doing.
That's right.
Honestly, I went on feeling. I went on whatever I thought was dope, was fresh, thought the audience would love, and it worked out. So,
and that's what people should be working towards, not the numbers. It's the feeling, it's the love for it. This is what I love, so I'm gonna post this because it's what I'm about, and how people take to that.
Mm-hmm. That's the thing now. Like with digital, like I get it. You have to look at analytics. It's very good. Sometimes you got to go on what you think is going to be good. It's going to set the tone, what your audience will like. It sucks sometimes when you're so fragmented like that. Like, okay, because we post at 3 p.m. We have to post the same, like sometimes that works. And sometimes it's straight off of what your gut tells you.
Yep.
So honestly, I hate to say this, shouts out to Jeff Thacker because he put me on to all that I did was straight off of gut. Like I hated reporting, I hated analytics. I was like, I think this no, I'm gonna just post this, or I'm gonna put this here because I think it's hot, or I'm asked this question because I think people are gonna care.
But you studied it too, so it was coming from a little bit of what you knew too. Studying, working behind all the greats and the legends. You knew what it was gonna take, girl. Growing up in Brooklyn, you knew.
Dang, you already know. So I did a digital manager thing for like 8 years, 9 years. That was my position. So I left until we parted ways in December. But yeah, that was my radio career. And then the biggest accomplishment was finally getting a radio show. Like that was, shouts out to P.O., shouts out to TT for Believe It in Me, Ebro again. It was a moment that I'll never forget. Like being asked to have your own show, like a station you grew up on, you listened to, you dubbing tapes off of, it was just like, wow. Not only that, like I'm the first full-blooded Asian to ever be on a #1 New York radio market, period.
Fire.
That
period.
To me.
We need to take that's a clip right there. Period.
And shout
Okay.
out to Angela Yee. She's half Chinese, I believe, too. But I think full blood
Yeah.
is me. And that means so much to me, my culture, my people, because I know there's a lot of me out there, meaning like kids who are first generation, who don't want to go down the typical route the parents want them to go down. 9-to-5 job, paying XYZ amount of money, doctor, lawyer, the typical stuff that Asian families want you to be. A lot of kids are afraid to go down the entertainment route because of that, even though their hearts are in it. I've spoken to a lot of kids, Asian kids, in groups and stuff, youth groups, and they say that they're afraid to because, their parents, their family, they don't want to disappoint them. But, I put this post up to my Instagram, like, you're not your parents. You are here
Right.
to break that generational stereotype, the traditional life that you've lived, your family lived for decades. You need to be that person to break that, or else it's always going to be the same. You're never going to grow. You're going to wake up to your life every day, not them. You're going to
Exactly.
have to live with your decisions, not them. So it's okay if you disappoint them for 5 years to live the rest of your life happy.
And to show them, because they don't know. You know what I'm saying? We're living through new generations. So I remember my grandmother raising me, and she always said it. She says to this day, you showed me so much. You taught me. She was, typically old school. You got to get married. You got to do this. You got to, and it was just like breaking through that. Not to say that those morals aren't amazing. That's why I am who I am today. But at the same time, you tweak it a little bit, you make it your own.
Right. Like there's definitely traditionalism. I get that. But, it's just, that's the problem with a lot of people. They're like, they go by the book, they go by what they're taught, they go by what they're told. And so they lose themselves again. I go back to that. They lose a sense of who they are. If you wake up every day, what you want to sing, or you want to write, you love writing, or you love filming stuff, like that's what you're meant to do. Don't suppress it. The worst thing that we can do to anybody is suppress their true love, their true passions, their creativity, because that can break you down in so many ways, not just like creatively, but mentally, physically as a person, mentally for sure. You start losing sight of who you are. You start feeling lost. So I think it's so important to go back to me. I say all, being the whatever Asian or whatever, because, I want kids to see me and be like, oh, shoot, she did it. She has a radio show. She had a radio show. She's doing this, especially kids that like me who grew up in bad situations, in a bad environment, no money, broke and all that. Like that was me, and you can do it too. So for that moment, when I had that radio show, that felt so good to me. Like, you have no idea. It was just more than just getting a radio show. I can give two shits about fame in the spotlight. I don't know, people can tell that by now. Like, that's not what I'm here to do. If it comes, it comes. If it doesn't, I don't really care. For me, it's just about inspiring and motivating people to do to fulfill their truest dreams. So for that, like, that was amazing that happened. And then, in between all that, I really started getting into film. And that happened because my entire life, I'm a writer, but I'm a very, very visual person.
I love that.
Very visual. I can't explain it. like
my imagination goes like,
yes, like I can see shit. Like, and apparently, like me being able to see shit works out well in film. Makes sense. So I started venturing into film and television, not being in front of the camera, but behind the camera, creating. Even at Hot Though, when I was a digital manager, I had a couple of shows that I hosted too, and I also helped produce a bunch of shows. So I was already loving it. Like I was like, yeah, this is what I want to do. And then the film festival, which I won like 2 years ago, which was insane. I didn't think that was gonna happen. But shouts out to, it was a bunch of people, Roxanne, who else? Just a lot of people, mainly Roxanne. She was an intern actually at Hot. And there was a festival, a film festival called Girls Who Impact the World Film Festival. Girls, something to that effect. It's called Connect Her Now. And basically it was a festival showcasing women from all around the world who are making an impact in their community or society. And so she asked me if I could be her subject. I was like, wow, like, yes, I'd love to. So then we started filming all the stuff about my life and producing it together. And shout out to Jasmine too, Marin, L'Oreal. These are the people that were involved in it. My Next Generation team, which is my TV and film production
Yes.
company. They started filming me and all that, and then we submitted it. Next thing you know, they come back. I didn't think anything's going to happen. I was like, let's just put it out there and see what happens. They hit us back. They said, you've made it into the top 100, whatever. We're like, oh, dope. Next thing you know, we made it into the semifinals. Oh, shit. Next thing you know, all right, we're hosting awards in Texas, the award ceremony, to see who wins the actual film.
Crazy.
I know, it was crazy. We were up for best film production overall, which is a testament to the team.
Wow.
And then we got there. And then when our category came up, we won. It was just, whoa. And I'll never forget it because Roxanne, she was one of my mentees too. Like, what she was saying on stage as she was accepting her award just touched my heart so deeply. Because she, obviously she said, I inspire her, and that's why, she wanted to do this film on me. And now apparently I also am inspirational stories of people around the world because they felt that way. We placed top 20 overall, which is another crazy. There were thousands of submissions all over the world, and we placed top 20. And it's crazy because it's based off of straight up my story, also because of how it was filmed, which was beautifully filmed, but my story. And that's why I feel the need to talk about my life so much now, and I'm open to it, like speaking with you, because people need to, you don't know, you're in this bubble, you're like, I'm just doing what I'm doing, but you don't really see who else is looking at you and watching you, feel inspired by you, whether it's one person or if it's a million people. So that was just a testament to me and a confirmation from God that, like, yo, you got to keep doing what you're doing, Jen. So we won the film festival. So from then on, we just started working on various projects, film projects and TV projects, and just a bunch of writing and just a lot of things that I'm working on that I can't say. But I'm in a good place right now. And obviously now I'm curating at Apple Music.
Yes, Apple Music. And also you're doing something for Forbes Culture.
Yeah, so Forbes Culture, that also came out of nowhere. I applied for their, it's really dope. So they have a program called Culture, which is this segment off of Forbes, which pretty much is a community of diverse innovators from all around the world who are doing things to help the community and society, who are actually elevating people. So I was super honored that they considered me. Shouts out to Forbes. Hopefully I make it on
right?
soon. I want to make it on the list. You know what I mean? Oh, 5 years.
You will. You're getting there. This is the beginning of it.
Yeah, I feel like it is.
You're already tapped in, girl. That's it. I mean,
I feel like it is. But for me, I'm an overachiever. Like, I could win. I don't know. I could win an Oscar, let's say, right? Universe. I still want to do more.
Of course. That's just so beautiful. Yes.
Like, okay, what's next? Like, I don't dwell on all that. But it is nice to get those things. And it goes back to, so yes, I won the film festival, but then I also, not the crazy thing, the Brooklyn Borough President, Eric Adams,
yes,
twice with the citation, which was like a proclamation for my work in like media, philanthropy, and as an Asian American woman, and I got that twice. So it's just, my career has been just grown and grown and grown. I say this all humbly just to tell people that you can do it too. Little old Jen from around the way.
from Church Ave.
Asian girl, no less. Like, she's doing it. She's doing it. And so, now I'm at Apple Music, like I said, I'm a music content specialist curating for them, which is really fun. I love the team. It's all women, which is dope.
Amazing.
Yeah, and I'm Forbes. And again, I'm working on projects that I can't share yet. But this is just the first layer of what I can do, or what I'm gonna do. And it's exciting. I can't share anything yet, but
I love it. You look so excited. You look so at peace.
I
And I feel like you're truly working through love, and you said it in the beginning, you said love and passion and, just coming into your own and being able to rebuild yourself and, going through all those things right now during the pandemic, especially. What's a piece of advice you feel you could give? Because we're going through a few pandemics, from race to this COVID to, I feel people were expecting the end of the world to be asteroids and fire. And I feel like this is the end of what we knew. And it's the beginning of something bigger, What's a piece of advice? I see you recreating. I see, you're just adapting to it all. And again, it goes with working through love. You're able to go with the flow, because nothing's going to get in the way. When God puts that road in front of you and he says, this is for you, nothing, not time, nothing takes that from you. So talk to me a little bit about that.
So I say this again, I've said it before, yes, everything you said was correct. We are in a very, very, very sensitive time right now, and meditation helps wonders. A lot of the time we're at home, a lot of times people are at home, they like to think a lot, and then they overthink a lot, and then it messes up their head. So meditation certainly helps with that. It took me a while to meditate too. I put that up today on my Instagram, actually, about meditating. I used to think, like, what am I going to do? Just sit there and not think? Like, you know what I mean? What's meditation?
Nothing.
What's happening? But it really works. What it does is it grounds you. It brings you back to yourself. It removes all the negative tension you have around you. And it connects you with God even deeper. We can't connect with God and our spirituality in that sense because we have millions of thoughts a day.
Millions.
When people are able to really sit down and just have time to themselves just to think, there's so much you got to do. There's so much you got to, know. So meditation helps with that. So I really suggest meditation for a lot of you out there who are dealing with this stuff, like worrisome, fear, uncertainty. Like, it helps so much. All you need to try it 5 minutes first and see how good you feel. Trust me, it's just going to continue on to 10, 20 minutes. That's what happened to me. Meditation certainly helps. In a spiritual sense, this is from my spiritual community. We are in a very sensitive time right now, and change is here, meaning the old ways that we've been grown to know. This dates back centuries even.
Yep, totally. Yep.
It's changing now because Earth, on a scientific standpoint too, we're an electromagnet energy. That's why I say our energy is so real, because we're made of energy. It's already scientifically proven. And so what happens is, right now, our electromagnetic energy, I'm getting scientific.
Get it.
It's elevated. And so our frequency is going higher. I heard about frequencies and energy. So what happens is, people who aren't elevating with it, they get left behind. They feel lost. They feel displaced. They'll always feel in that low negative vibe. People are being forced to elevate. That's why a lot of things are ending for people. Relationships, friendships, jobs, all that stuff. It's all ending because you're elevating with what's happening to Earth right now. Because what's happening on the planet is we are really elevating into a time of love and peace and creativity. That's the era we're coming into, the digital era, the heavily digital era. That old way is done. So if that gives people peace of mind, yes, we're going through these changes right now, but it's going to be okay in the end, because you can't rebuild unless you break down. There can't be a rebirth unless there's a death. So death of racism, death of, not being unified, death of, getting deep, death of society, the government,
right,
money, how we get money, just all of that. Everything's happening for a reason. This was all part of our destiny, and we're all here for a reason. And it goes back to us and people, because, we chose to, don't know how deep people are into this, but, you chose to come back at this time. You are here on this earth at this time, this planet at this time, for a reason. People think that you got to go out and be Superman and save people. Nah, you could simply do that by pursuing your dreams.
That's right. Save yourself.
Right? Yourself. Because what happens is when you're really true to yourself, you elevate your energy. And you elevate your energy, now you're entering to that frequency, the vibration that Earth is at, the love, peace, and quality. So you are adding into it. That'd be my advice, I think.
I mean, again, what you're doing, you're somebody, again, I can't forget to mention the way you are with the youth, the way you are with the young girls, the way, I mean, you are tapping into it all. And as a voice, I feel like people get lost in their opportunity, and they don't come back to take care of what took them there, you know, that community. And you still have that community in you, and I absolutely cherish that about you. Like, you are so fire for that, you know, to tap in to the young girls, to tap into the community, to say, yeah, when you were out there calling yourself Brooklyn Jen, you did stuff for Brooklyn. You were with the, you know what I'm saying? I watched that. You were tapping into the government stuff going on in Brooklyn. And that's so important to your growth, to us watching you, the people you're motivating. It's something so important, that people and that community part of you.
Thank you so much. It's so important for me because, again, what I do, again, is to inspire and motivate. And I say that fully with my heart, like, truly, this is why I do this. I want you to see that you are able to do it too. And unfortunately, communities right now don't have that outlet. They don't have that. This is my dream eventually when I get rich, is just to build little centers, creative centers, for kids and just anyone to really express their creativity, because I know how that feels. I was stifled as a kid.
Yep.
I wasn't able to express my creativity like that. I had nowhere to share my creativity. That's why I always did things on my own. So for me, a dream would be to go back and really like build these centers all over Brooklyn and eventually all over New York and the world, hopefully. So kids can have somewhere to go and just be truly free, make their songs, write their scripts, you know,
Yeah.
paint, whatever it is they want to do, they can just do it there and really like hone in on it. And it's important, like the youth is the future. There's no lie. But the youth has to be guided. The youth has to be supported.
And I feel like, you know, as artists and, you know, having platforms like you do, it's so important for that voice. You know, I spoke to the DJ EFN, and he was like, I feel like, you know, we're so caught up in, we missed the 90s, but we were loving the 90s so much that we forgot to teach it. We forgot to give back, you know? So again, I totally agree with that. Like, we have to go back to teaching what it is, to saying, you know, this is dope. I love what you're doing. Keep doing that for the community, for society, all around.
They totally need that because, you know, at that age, you're very impressionable. If someone says that you're whack, you're going to believe you're whack because that's just what someone says to you. You know, you need someone behind you, a support team, to say, no, listen, you can do this, you know, start fresh, or like rework it, like work with them as opposed to shutting them down. Because unfortunately, a lot of kids nowadays, all they have is sometimes their parents to look to, and sometimes parents don't believe in what you're doing. So it's like, once you don't believe in that, you're like, damn, I'm just gonna shut this down.
That's so hard to work through, you know? So, because we all go through that.
Very important, yeah. And God bless the people who have parents who actually allow the kids to be creative. Like, that's a gem. That's very special. But for all those who don't have that outlet, like, it's hard. And also when you don't have the resources, right? You want to record something, but you don't have the funds to record something, or you want to paint something, you don't have the supplies, or all that. So it's a very important. It's so detrimental to the youth that we go back and help them and teach them and guide them. They need to be guided. You know, we have an opportunity to guide them without having them deal with all them obstacles. Not saying they shouldn't go through any, because that's how they grow and learn. But like, there's certain times, I'm sure you too, you went a different route when you shouldn't have, and now you're like, you know what? I shouldn't have done that. I probably should have done this way. You can pay it forward. Listen, if you're doing what you're doing right now, and if the end goal is not to pay it forward, what's the point of doing it? What, for money, for fame? Like, that's gonna be taken away from you. Period.
There's nothing in any of that. I mean, it's great, yeah, that you're working and what you're putting out gives you, you know, you're doing what you love, so you're able to get money from that. But my dream to make the money and to me is that, it's that community work. Is that, yeah, take me to that platform so you can see how I'm gonna flip my neighborhood. It's gonna be the hood famous type of vibe. What I truly as well felt that brought me up. I went to programs like Henry Street Settlement. And of course, this is my father being, dipping and dabbing in the community and really knowing what was up. In my community, we had the community center. We had at the church, we had another center where they had the Nintendo ass. So kids who didn't have a Nintendo were going to church to play Nintendo, and it wasn't church per se, but they had a back room in the church. Everybody, the priest was there and he was, and it was such a good vibe, for whoever frowns upon priest. And I mean, I was lucky to grow up in a community that we loved our priest, and just recently he died. And it was something that the Boy Scouts, the Girl Scouts, this was something that raised me, not having a mother, but having those outlets to run to, again, to be creative. I mean, it wasn't art stuff, but being in the Girl Scouts and getting all my patches and selling my cookies and, making my ropes, and it taught, you know what I'm saying? So we need that stuff. And I see all of that in your future. Like, I totally do.
That's a goal. I'm telling you, that's like one of my biggest dreams and one of my goals. It's really just to instill this in these kids. Like, you can do it too. You totally can do it too. And we got you. We got you with the knowledge. We got you with the resources. You're not alone. You ain't got
that crowd in Brooklyn.
Yeah. Exactly. Exactly. We got you.
You hear them?
That's just,
oh man, Jen, it was such a pleasure to speak to you, beautiful. I mean, I cannot wait for all the stuff coming that you couldn't talk about.
Girl, I'm just praying. It's literally like, this is just the first layer of what I'm capable of. And I say that proudly because I got some news like a few days ago, a bit of news information, and I was just like, okay,
this is it.
I could do this. Maybe I'm this. So
I love to see it. I love to see everything you're doing. Keep inspiring and just keep being you. And what you said about God, girl, I say it all the time. To me, what better feeling than to put your worries into God and not have to go to sleep with that weight and that pressure and live with that pressure and live with that work. Like, what better feeling than to say, somebody got me. I'm not alone, regardless of what it is, regardless without because I know there's been times for me myself feeling lonely with the biggest family, and that's not what it's about. You know what I'm saying? So getting back to what matters, getting back to that self, that I'm alone with my faith and I got God, and everything else is gonna come with that. So I thank you for preaching next. That's something that I totally, since a little girl, I was really raised big on faith. And it's what's carried me. Like, so praying is in the business plan. You know what I'm saying?
Totally. And before we end this, I'm glad you brought that up. Like, totally. Because I never used to pray that much. I used to now I pray every day. And
it's a form of meditation.
It is. It totally is. And it connects you completely with God too. And it also is a game changer because things started happening when I started doing that. But here's something I want to tell people out there too. Don't pray to God only when you need something.
Yes.
You gotta pray to him or her, however you believe, in source, when thanking them.
Yep.
Everything they've given you. Being grateful. Don't always come to them in the time of need, a necessity. You always have to be tapped in and thankful for where you are and what you are.
And if you think of that gratitude too, you think of the earth and you think of how life gives to you on a daily, how your body, your entity is able to walk through and make things happen. You have to have some form of gratitude that you're putting out there. Absolutely. Even if you don't want to call it God, like you were saying, whatever it is, just walk with that form of gratitude. Say thank you to something, even to yourself. Look in the mirror, just say thank you.
Exactly. Thank you.
For those that don't believe, but for those that do believe, oh my God, praying goes so far.
It really does. It just, I can't even explain it. Like, I've seen the miracles happen.
And I took one of your meditation things that you did on IG Live. Oh, it was so good. Your voice was so forward. That's another thing too. Not everybody has the voice to meditation, and you truly seem like you have it in, and I loved it.
Thank you so much. I'm glad you did that.
Yes, I did.
hope everyone does the same, like with meditating and stuff. Like it's just so powerful. God is real. God is good. Spirituality is real. You need to connect to that, be
Yes.
true to yourself, and just start attracting everything into you.
You're a beautiful person, a beautiful soul. Thank you, thank you, thank you for this. Girl, I feel like I went to church. It's Sunday. This was meant to be. This was meant to be.
Hello. Now, and I will be sharing all this on a Sunday probably. My next Zen
Perfect.
For that. You can hear.
Again, I can't thank you enough. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Yes, you too, beautiful.
Shining. Don't give up. If you feel like giving in, you know, your calling is your calling. What God gave you is yours, and no one can take it away. It's just a matter of finding your way there. That's all.
Yep, that's all it is.
He guides you, but he can't walk you each step.
And what you said was so important, just staying true to you. Because for me, it's not about anything else but truly living this, having these moments, you know, that I'm able to just be enlightened by somebody like you. And that's just like walking through the street and bumping into a really dope soul. And you're like, damn, that conversation was good. Or being on the train, you know, and just, this is what it's about for me. You know, it's not, to me, I've made it in so many, because I'm doing what I love. Yep. And that's what it's about.
That's it.
Simple. That's simple.
Like you said, no, stay true to yourself too.
That's it.
That's the last thing I'm gonna say, because I can talk for hours with you right now. You have to stay true to yourself. Stop looking at what other people are doing.
Yep.
Stop comparing yourself to anyone else's success. Stop trying to change yourself because of what you see on social media or just anywhere. Be who you are at all times, because that's how you attract what's meant for you. That's another thing. If you keep on trying to fake it out and pretend to be these people, you're confusing the shit out of God. You're confusing the shit out of your energy, your blessings.
Yourself. That's true. I'm sorry. I can't keep up with it.
And who wants to do that? Who wants to keep pretending for the rest of their life that there's something else? The most rewarding thing is being able to do what you do and being genuinely yourself, and then everything happening for you. There's no better feeling than that. So stay true, you guys. You are unique. You are special. There's only one of you. Keep it that way. Don't be another car on that assembly line. There's too many.
Then we should have just all had the same name, right?
What's
the difference here?
Thank you. You don't want that. Be unique. Be yourself, just like Jacina is.
Oh, beautiful. Thank you again, Jen. And I can't wait to put this out. And I can't wait to speak to you again. I just can't wait to see all we have in store. Hopefully soon we can have like a little meetup, and it doesn't have to be to this Zoom type of stuff, you know?
I'm totally down to sit and chill and talk and chat.
Stay safe, baby. Stay healthy. That's what's most important right now, right?
Stay safe as well.
Bye, baby.
Bye.